Hello, friends. This is John Klein, third episode 120 of Shadow and Flame of Magic, the podcast. And today we're going to review X-Men Volume 6, Issue 33. So let's get to it. And so, writer Jerry Duggan, artist Joshua Cassara, no longer just on covers. And so this comic looks amazing. Color artist Romulo Fajardo Jr., who gives the comic a real texture feeling that I really enjoyed. Letterer, legendary VC's Clayton Cowles. Design Tom Muir and Jay Bowen. And, and Joshua Cassara is still on art or cover art. Uh, so here's the recap. The X-Men have been spread thin, trying to protect every mutant they can in the wake of Orchis publicly declared genocide on mutant kind. Oh yeah, and there's a recap title called Traitor in Our Midst, whereas the title of the comic is As the World Burns. Mutant Kind's continued existence is in dire straits, but with the recent return of several Mutant Kind's heavy hitters and Emma Frost using her telepathy to coordinate the resistance movement, mutants have finally begun making decisive blows of their own. But the war is not over yet, and survival is not guaranteed. And the cast, it's a big cast. Sebastian Shaw, Shinobi Shaw, Callisto, Emma Frost, Wolverine, Shadowcat, Forge, Magic, Miss Marvel, Synch, Cyclops, Nimrod. And almost in that order. And then, not long ago, we catch up with the Shaws, Sebastian and Shinobi, who we've now learned is his adopted son, as Leland is his actual father to Shinobi, which is fun. I like the implications there. And Sebastian's telling Shinobi to get to Madapore as he's hedging his bets of humans winning, and then they will help out who's there. And if the mutants win, hey, they've captured a big name uh, member of Orchis. And so Shinobi hires the Reavers. Lowtown, Manipur, used to stretch for miles from the docks. In recent years, soulless towers have encroached on the neon casinos, sex clubs, and drug dens that make the Sum so beloved across the world. And the Reavers are just dropping in. Callisto, looking completely badass, and has an eye patch, of course, but this one has like spikes and thorns all around it, so it sends the message I think she really wants it to, because it can be a practical design, because it can't feel comfortable on her eyeball. Then we catch up to, oh yeah, I always forget the sequence of how this works out. So then Emma's putting on white lipstick, and she is coordinating all the attacks still, looking great in this outfit that I can only imagine is using double-sided tape like crazy. We catch up to Grant Rogers, who was Steve from Captain America Secret Empire. And he's balking about how, mankind has to punish mutants. And Emma's like, we'll handle him later, which is like later in this event, or just like 2 years from now, we're going to be like, hey, remember Stephen Grant? Um, no. Grant Rogers, because Captain America's name is Steve Grant Rogers, which doesn't roll off the tongue that well, but middle names are complicated. I don't have a middle name, so I'm always like, oh, then we name our son's middle name after, or we gave our son's middle name of my father-in-law, which now that he's passed, it's like a nice little tribute. And some people give like 3 to 5 middle names, where I'm like, all right, pick a name. And I say that knowing that poor Nathaniel Summers has a slew of middle names. Oh, I guess it's just Nathan Christopher Charles Summers. which I was about to say, which is always irritates me in comic book naming, where it's like the father gets the entire naming convention. Where you see Superman and oh heck, this Ultimate Spider-Man. We don't have to go to DC. Like they named their kids Richard and May. Like yeah, so Mary Jane was like, I'm glad I gave birth to two kids and got zero input on what their names are going to be. All right. And then Superman and Lois Lane kids are always, Jonathan this or Martha that or, well, I guess those would be the options. Or Jor-El, where it's like, all right, I get it. Where it's like, I feel like it should be something. I mean, Spider-Girl's Mayday Parker, like, that's what middle names are for, everyone. And then we see a bunch of Orcus goons are in the sewers, and then we get a fun Dark Phoenix Saga tribute or homage to Wolverine in the sewers. And then he just slices and dices them all. So that's another batch of Orcus goons down. And then we get to my first favorite moment in the comic where Callisto's got overtaken by how many Reavers there are. And we catch up to Shadow Kate, who just looks amazing. Like, Sarah just draws an awesome Shadow Kate. She's like, my friend's not your decoration. Free Callisto or die. Or maybe free her and die. I haven't decided yet. She has her hood, her face mask up, so she just looks pure ninja. And then, they start firing on her and she just slices in a chunk and they're just ripped in half. And then she frees Callisto. The tank guy rewrites himself up, which I'm sure he's like, please don't knock me back down. And Callisto wants an update. Shadowcake's like, great, so great. Only thing left is to plan a ticker tape parade. Hang on, gonna phase you through free. And Callisto's wanting, the war's not over. She wants to kill a bunch of them, and then she just stabs another Reaver in the face. Why are the Reavers clearing out our beachhead in Manipur, and why now? And then Shinobi shows up, and this is where I'm like, wait, they're in Madapur. Like, Kate Pride has a connection there thanks to the Marauders days. But Lockheed also had connections to Manipur as well, also due to Volume 1 of Marauders. So I'm like, it's a shame Lockheed's not just floating about. Like, where is he? Which is me saying this comic has the shadow and the magic, but no flame in it. And that's disappointing because we just got him back last issue. Like, where is he? And then Shinobi, he shows up and Kate's like, Shinobi burr 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 Shaw. And it's like, oh. Oh, no, no, I'm sorry. That's Callisto saying that. And then she like makes a move on Shinobi, but Kate touches his shoulder and Callisto just phases right through, like face first into the dirt. And it's like, oh, Kate and Callisto, they have a history. I know everyone wants to talk about Callisto and Storm, but Kate and Callisto have quite the connection too. I mean, she almost made her marry Caliban, even though Kitty did promise that if they healed Colossus, she would. But then she sort of got busy and never went back. And then Caliban thankfully was like, I would not marry you, friend Kitty. You clearly do not want to do this. And then there's Excalibur time caper when some guy is proposing to Kitty. What he really wants to do is marry the Kitty of his world, Princess. I think that's a Princess Kate too. And then, famously Colossus tries to marry her and X-Men Go 30. So, she's a hard gal to marry. No man seems to be able to do it. And so Kate's like, hang on, let's hear him out. And then Shinobi reveals about Shaw playing, ugh, I guess he's a Shaw as well. Sebastian playing both sides. And who is in Madripoor but none other than Dr. Killian Devo, the founder of Orcus. who I barely recognize. Like someone's told me online, like, "Oh, he was in Inferno," where I'm like, "Oh, he's probably on those pages," because I read Inferno, the second Inferno as back issues. Well, I read the first Inferno as back issues as well. So I was skimming a bunch of like, "Where's Kate in this?" or "Where's Magic?" or Lockheed sightings, because that's singularly singularly where my focus is on the X world, and and he's in House of um X and Powers of X, which I'm still trying to read through that trade, and I know I'm busy with two jobs and such, and it's just hard to find time to read. And Walker D's been playing Arkham City so much on the Switch that I started playing it on the PlayStation, the PS4, and having just a blast. But so I'm allowing myself to not read Powers of Rise of House of X and Powers of X and Hoxpox, but I need to get into it. But Kitty's barely in it, or Kate's barely in it. Lockheed's barely in it. I want to say Magic's not in it that much either. So it's like, all right. There's a bunch of features. I mean, stuff that I don't find interesting now, and it's being set up there. So I'm just like, ugh. But maybe if I read it, maybe I'll enjoy it more. But I don't know. And so now, it's good writing where they talk about Devo, who I keep on calling Divas, Divas, like the Doctor Who villain, but it's more like the band Devo. And he's about to cause some explosions. And when we get the X-Men coming through one of Magic's portals, and this is a great cast here. It's Synch, Emma, Magic, Miss Marvel, Forge, and Wolverine. And as soon as they put their feet on the ground, Devo opens up a projector to the negative zone, because I guess when the Fantastic Four were missing or something, he got the rights to it and had a nice plan. And so they start flipping into the negative zone, and Magic's caught off guard. Oh yeah, Emma's like, Magic, can you? And she's like, I'm trying. I'm like, oh, Magic. And then Emma's trying to read his mind, but she sees that Devo is not Devo anymore, and says his I guess he's a cyborg for all points and purposes, and so Omega Sentinel has rewritten his mind completely. And then Miss Marvel grabs Emma, not caring where her fingers go. I'm like, come on, girl. And she's like, Emma, I need to make a long distance call. And Emma's like, fine, we can do it. And then we catch up to Latveria, or meanwhile in Latveria. And Doom's looking at a board. Miss Marvel and Emma are having a telepathic conversation with Doom. And Emma asks his permission to give him a sit rep, which is nice that she asks first. And Doom's thought process is like, Devo did say he intends to cleanse the earth, which is my purview, and I despise him using Richard's feeble accomplishments. Very well. Deploy the X-Men of Doom! And then thankfully we get a little caption box of who they are. Slag, Volta, and Nerium. I know the internet seems to love Volta, but I don't know, I've seen more of a Nerium type of guy. And Miriam's the wood lady who would get along well with Nature Girl. And she has 6 arms, so that's cool. And her hands are like wooden. And Volta is I don't know, like a live wire from DC Comics. And then Slag is a giant brute of a man with lava rock hands. I imagine and I'm curious why he calls them X-Men of Doom, right? Like why would he use I don't know, like he can call them the mutants of Doom easily. I get why he doesn't call them the demon, because then it sounds like demon. And that doesn't sound great. That's not good branding. And so those three show up to Devo and just like wreck his Volta just electrocutes him completely. He gives off a cool "Aye!" And then I don't really know what the other two did, but they're there. And Slag's just destroying the machineries. We get an amazing panel of the X-Men dropping. And I just think it's funny that Magic's falling like head first into the ground. And no one's falling dignified, but I'm like, oh man, you think Magic of her limbo portals will just, right herself up and then never fall, but she's slowly getting up. Um, Slag and Miss Marvel high five, and she immediately regrets it as her hands are on fire. Devo gives some lame last words, and Volta just kills him. And everyone's shaking hands and everything. Logan's offering Volta to join the X-Men. And we get a fun panel of Magic and Nerium shaking hands, which, yes, Magic gives the endorsement. And now I'm just a big Nerium fan. I should see what their first appearance is. So our first appearance was in X-Men 28. So I guess I am caught up on. So I've read all of her appearances. I'm waiting for fandom to update, or to load. But yeah, 28 was after 25. I mean, naturally. But my interest in this title definitely starts at 25. And she has three appearances, so it must be 25, 28, and now 33. Oh, 28, 29, 33. So pretty sure we've covered all of her appearances on this podcast. Um, but Volta politely turns down Logan's offer. And then Emma's updating Cyclops, and we get a fun Cyclops saying, "It's nice to hear your voice in my head again, darling." Which darling feels very playful, Scott, especially on a Mind Link conference call. But I mean, as a giant Schema fan, Schema? Scott? Yeah, it must be Schema, right? You don't pronounce it Schema. Um, it's just cute to see them flirting with that idea. And then we cut over to, meanwhile, in space. Um, oh yeah, first Scott tells them like Dr. Alia Gregor is dead, and Emma's immediately like, "Well done, chalk up another high value target." And Scott's like, "It wasn't me, and it's a long story." And Nimrod, who has Cyclops up against a wall, like one hand around his throat, is like, "You telepathically telling the X-Men about me, aren't you? If I killed you now, would they feel it?" And then Scott tells them that the AI has been the threat the whole time, which is just a fun meta storytelling of like AI is going to outlast all of us. So really, humans and mutants should have been teaming up together the whole time instead of humans and AI fighting against the mutants. But they're going to Sentinel City, and Sentinel City is rising. And that was issue 33 of volume 6 of X-Men. What else came out? I guess this was the main issue. And then this week comics is going to be Invincible Iron Man 17, which 16 was pretty much just a Iron Man debuting his Sentinel armor or Sentinel Buster suit and like 22 splash pages, which was fun to read, but it's like, oh, is he no longer an X-Men comic? Miss Marvel Mutant Menace 2, which should have Lila Cheney in it, and Mojo, so that'd be fun. Resurrection of Magneto 4, which I've adapted scenes from my YouTube channel, Jacko SII. So hopefully there's a scene in there I can recreate as well. And then Wolverine 47 is also out. And then I feel like I saw something else that was on the comics. Oh yeah, Fantastic Four 19 has a nice cover. Um, oh yeah, and X-Men 97 2 comes out. Weapon X-Men 2 comes out. Oh, and Ultimate X-Men 2 comes out as well. So lots of second issues. So I'm not sure. if any of these will get on the podcast, but hopefully YouTube, I'll make a video for Resurrection Magneto 4. Shadow Kate was in Miss Marvel's the New Mutant, so you know maybe she'll show up in this. But it's Mojo, so could be cameo heavy by lots of ways. And then Peach Momoko, who's very real, is bringing us Ultimate X-Men 2, which is very counter programming. So I appreciate that. And I'm curious to see if it's going to be as dark and twisted as that first issue or not. And then Invincible Iron Man 17. Oh yeah, the Avengers came out last week and they're finally fighting Orcus. So that was fun. And must be nice to be those Orcus goons who are not being murdered by the Avengers. And that's written by Jed MacKay, who's going to write X-Men coming out with Magic and Scott. So I'm excited about what that title is going to be like. Um, I can only imagine those three new titles are going to be alternate weeks. So, um, you know, Jed MacKay's X-Men is definitely going to get reviewed thanks to Magic. And then Ewing's um, Exceptional will be reviewed for sure. And we still don't know if Loki's in that title, so here's hoping. And they have like zero interest in the Sabretooth War, so that is. And X-Men, or no, Power Pack Into the Storm 4 came out last week, and Storm, which is unleashing thunder and lightning onto. Well, no, I guess it'd be mostly. It was lightning and tornadoes on the Brood, and I love to see it. And poor Franklin, they were talking about how this one of the horse aliens wants to. I forget what their names are. Chimerians, maybe. I don't think I've ever tried to pronounce it before, but they're trying to steal his powers, and he has a sad thought of like, "Oh, if I didn't have my powers, maybe my parents won't fear me so much, and they'll love me more." And it's like, "Oh, Franklin Richards, I'm sorry you have that much burden on your shoulders. You don't deserve it." I don't know. It's one of those things where once you're a parent, you start being more sensitive to kids stuff or dad stuff even, where it's just like, oof, this wouldn't have made me cry, but now I'm like welding, like fighting back tears. Anyways, but sometimes it's nice to have the tears. um speaking of Walker, or just kids and then transitioning to Walker D, thank you everyone for such kind words and doing the with the X-Men 97 reviews. I've been loving doing them with Walker D World, and so I appreciate everyone being game to hear some father son action. And I don't know, it just makes me happy the entire time interviewing him. I really want to set up a Zoom call with him so we can be a little more hands free besides me putting the microphone, back and forth. But the way we record, it's just like spur of the moment, like, okay, now's a good time. Let's go, 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 go. But because I just want to test out the Zoom thing once and see if I can, even get other people to be on the podcast because I think that'd be fun to do. Um, so we'll either have an X-Men 97 episode or we'll have a comic book episode. But I do like the idea of separating, so if you're searching for episodes, you can, you don't have to listen to 18 minutes in before you get to X-Men 97 or looking for X-Men issue 33. Like, it's just, oh, here it is. Um, though it does give me a very high episode count, but um, what you gonna do? You're always gonna end up with a high episode count. I know Comic Book Queer's Legacy has like they seem like they purposely don't say the episode title anymore or number anymore. But I don't know. I'm with Turtle Soup where I'm just like I sort of like the leaning into of like no we're this is the episode number. We're not shying away from how many. And is it daunting to go back? Maybe, but I sort of like how I'm more like I'm simply amazing, and how I'm just promoting other people's podcasts. But how they do like 20 to 30 minutes, and it's like, yeah, we did it, we're done. It's like a drive to work and then walk around on my break, and then I've knocked out the episode. But I guess I got a little subconscious about my episode lengths. I felt the need to explain them. But anyway, so you can follow me at YouTube and Twitter at Jacko SII. You can follow the podcast. And I haven't done a retro episode in a while, so we haven't posted any new images. But Twitter and Instagram is SNFWM and spelt out. And I guess Walker's YouTube channel is Walker D World, and he would love some more subscribers. And I'll talk again next time. Well, all right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Bye.